All right, One-and-Done-athon, we're back. That's right, we got a banger end of day lined up, starting off with PHOGS Solo by Sean A. Now, this game, I think this is really cool. There's a lot of really funky platforming that you can do, because you can control this game co-op or you can control it solo, and Sean's doing solo. So I'm really looking forward to this. So go ahead and take it away.
All right. Hello, everyone. Good evening. I'm Sean A.
How's it going,
with me
everybody?
doing commentary, I have... And yeah, so this is PHOGS. It's one of the most criminally underplayed speed games, more or less ever, in terms of how interesting of a run it is versus how many people actually run it, which is like only a handful. So hope you all enjoy, and if you are interested in learning the game, I do have tutorials, and there's a Discord where anybody would be happy to help you. Anyways, time's not going to start until the first movement after selecting a file, so I'm going to select a file and then give a countdown. So timing will start in 3, 2, 1, go. All right, just going to jump over here.
So first things first, Sean's triggering the opening cutscene before jumping into the tutorial level, where we're going to get to know everything about the game. Sean's going to show you every bit of the tutorial level and all of the movement options. Just in case that doesn't happen, your basic movement is that you can move with each head independently, and you can also stretch your necks to make you a longer noodle dog, and each head can also bark, which was not really intended to do much from a gameplay standpoint, but we're going to do a lot with it from a gameplay standpoint.
Yeah, speaking of doing some interesting stuff, this tube here is going to try and spit me out, and I'm just going to immediately get back in. So I've got a very specific setup for this, and it's going to take me a few tries. But I've got to do a weird Monster Hunter claw grip. Is that getting over?
Looks good.
Oh, that was barely... There's an invisible wall there I have to get over, and that's why I sort of struggled a bit. That was really close, but that's the tutorial level. I hope you learned a lot about the game.
This level casually takes 5 minutes, give or take, maybe just under 5 minutes. We're supposed to fall to the bottom of the giant tower, and Sean just said no.
Yeah, normally you have to hit 3 of these switches, and then you get to the end of the level, but we're right at the last one right now. Also, sorry for interrupting you. What do you have to say?
No, it's okay. You're the runner. You're more important than whatever I have to say. But people are asking, what is a fog?
A fog is, has it ever been decided whether I'm a singular fog or 2 fogs?
You're the world record runner, or world record holder in both categories, so you get to choose.
All right, so I would say that, given all the available lore information in-game, I'm actually playing as 2 fogs right now. I think that does make the most sense, but they're in a very symbiotic relationship, so work together.
They are physics dogs. They are noodles that do all the important things that fogs do. So Sean's done the tutorial level. You've now seen he's gone in and out of this purple snake going to a different world. There are 3 worlds in addition to the main hub. This is the sleep world. The worlds are the 3 things that are important in a fog's life, which is sleeping, playing, and eating. Sometimes you'll see Sean exit a world and re-enter. That might be to skip a cutscene, or in a couple of cases, he's resetting his spawn point in the worlds so that he can get to the next level faster instead of doing hub movement. In the first level of the sleep world, Dream Fields, and once again, Sean's going to do his best to avoid any and all contact.
Yeah, so what I'm going to do here is actually fall through a death plane. Death planes are only going to trigger if both heads are in at the same time, so I'm going to do a specific setup here to try and fall as vertically as I can. That looks good. And then I'll land down here, and there you go. Here's the end of the level. Unfortunately, this worm's not open, but if I get into it from below, I can get into the trigger like this, and then since I respawned while a head was in the trigger, it still thinks that head's in the trigger, so I can get another head in, and it'll say, okay, there's 2 heads in, you're good to go, level's over. Anyways, that was Dreamfields.
2 levels down, we've seen about 10% total of the levels themselves. There are, what would you say, 20 levels overall in the game. There's the tutorial. Each world has 6 levels. there's a boss in each world, so I guess that would be 7 levels.
7 times
them,
3
and then
plus
there's the
2, so yeah, 23.
Yeah.
And we're gonna head into Readingwood now, which unfortunately doesn't have huge skips, but it has a lot of little skips, but it will take about 3 minutes to get through.
This tree coming up is a good opportunity to talk about materials, because this tree is coded in Zoom. You're just going to go fast on it. There's some materials in the game that have unique properties. They can improve the quality of your speed or some of the tech that we do. One of the most important things you're going to see Sean do is called an uppie, which is stretching and barking pretty much simultaneously to get one head several feet up off the ground when it's not intended. And you're going to see this right here so that you can get to press that switch a little faster than going around. Some materials are really bad for uppies, and those prevent us from doing some neat tricks, but for the most part, you're going to see a whole lot of uppies, and sometimes where he does the long stretch neck hovers like we saw on Dreamfields.
I just missed that. Moon, okay. So here I'm going to let go of the moon and then re-grab it when the head's already in the light wall. That's going to prevent the wall from spawning, because it doesn't want to let me get stuck inside. Normally, the light from the moon would cause that wall to respawn, but since I was already inside it, wouldn't let that happen, and then we just skip that puzzle through that. Speaking of skips, got a nice little skip here. There's a cutscene in the intersection right here, and it's pretty long, so I'm going to try and avoid it by hopping off here and then swinging myself over. This is pretty tricky, but practice you can get it.
So nice, though.
There we go.
One of the nice things about PHOGS is a speed game is there's a ton of flexibility if you decide you want to pick it up. Like, there's individual levels that are discrete, so you can check the IGT if you want to track your progress on each of them. But also there's so many spots where a skip's only going to save you 30 seconds, 15 seconds, and those add up over the course of the run, but your first run doesn't live or die on one big trick or anything.
Yeah.
Here's another nice long neck hover to skip through a death plane without both heads being in it at the same time, and we are at the end of this island.
Yeah, and at the end of this island, we're going to be introduced to the best object in the game, as soon as I can get myself up here, and that is the alarm clock. So alarm clocks are just made of miracles. You can do if you have an alarm clock, you can literally do anything. If there's something you're trying to do and there's an alarm clock nearby, there's like a 90% chance that alarm clock's going to let you do it. Every object in this game has a cylindrical hitbox with 2 domes on each end. The alarm clock is notable because its domes are very, very short, which means it very easily gets caught on basically anything. So, for example, the edge of this bed frame, you can just get it stuck there and then fling up this way to skip this room.
We know the shape of a lot of these hitboxes thanks to a community member named Kalimog, who did an amazing trainer mod for this game and has done a couple of updates since then. We can turn on visualizations for hitbox, checkpoint spheres, death planes, invisible walls, cutscene triggers, minor animations. It completely revolutionized how we were able to continue to try to break the game in half. Big, beautiful flings, though. Really nice and clean Readingwood.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Kalimog's...
And Sean, I think...
Oh, sorry.
So there's 6 levels plus the boss in Sleep World. How many levels are we playing?
I am going to be doing 3 levels of Sleep. 3 levels and then the boss. It is actually possible to not only enter the boss level early, but it's actually possible to do it with completing none of the main levels. I'm not going to be doing that because it is absolutely not marathon viable, but it is something you can do. I have done it. It's awful. It's the worst, but there's an easier version you can do after beating 3 of the levels, and that's what I'll be doing. Still big skips. Still will save 7 minutes.
Yeah, in context of the rest of the game, we have the big skip on the tutorial. There's a big skip coming up later on one of the last levels, but we don't explicitly skip any levels except these ones in Sleep. So 3 or 6, depending on what you're doing, or 0 if you're me and my solo runs.
Yeah. So here is one of my favorite levels in the game. It's Watcher Walkways. No huge skips, but there are some really, really interesting, unique skips that you really don't see anywhere else in the game. The main gimmick of Watcher Walkways are these birds. They'll try and grab you and take you to the nearest bed, except for this one, which is awful at its job, and will just not grab you so long as you keep moving. Don't know why that bird is like that. The other ones aren't. You have to be much more careful with the other ones.
The sentry birds are one of the big mechanics for this level, and you'll see these blue and purple tiles. Those are gravity fields. They change the direction that each of the Phogs heads move for their gravity. That happens independently, which helps Sean set up this next trick.
Yeah. So what I'm gonna do here is uppy blue head out, and that's gonna set blue's gravity to down. So now I have red with sideways gravity and blue with downwards gravity, which is gonna let me just fly out and go up here. Is really, really handy. So there's no good way to get into the hitbox from under this worm because there's no checkpoint nearby to respawn from. So I'm gonna have to do a different method, just sort of lock picking in. So I'm gonna keep stretching and de-stretching, and that's gonna build up force. And then hopefully, eventually, there we go. It's gonna clip inside, and that's gonna despawn the front wall because it thinks it needs to let me out, and then I'm just gonna walk through the despawn front wall.
Well done. And you might look at it, especially with the different directions of gravity, and say, hey, that looks hard to do, and controlling both heads at the same time. It is. Sean is the master of it. Most people that have played the game have done the co-op any percent. Sean and I got into the game through Author Blues and the Great Gildersleeves doing it earlier this year for 12-hour challenge.
Yeah. Hold on, that climb up those yarns is pretty tough, but at least I didn't pick up the bone. If you pick up the bone, it wastes a second, it makes you feel terrible.
Gold bone of shame.
Those
a cute little cutscene.
Yeah. Yeah, so there's a cutscene under this. I messed up the cutscene skip.
Oh. We get to see.
Oh, this is haunted. Oh, no, what's happening to me?
Fox doing Fox things.
Just Fox stuff.
The best part is...
can I save myself?
Maybe. I've actually never seen that angle before.
No,
so
yeah.
there's your one for the run.
There's a checkpoint up there, but you hate to see it.
What's great about that is that it happens so much more often if you're doing online co-op, and you can get into the worst positions you'll ever see.
Nah.
Absolute Fogs yoga.
Now I'm gonna have to do this climb again. There we go. Yeah, so I can safely say that has never happened before, TM.
That will be the only one of the entire run.
Yeah, you know, this is normally such a stable game. There we go. So yeah, what I wanted to do was land on the spine of the book there, and then that would skip the cutscene, but then I watched the cutscene, so didn't work out. Anyways, this is cool here. Do you want to explain this, Rare?
Yeah, so normally you have to do a couple of different things to escort this alarm clock all the way to the far end of the level. Sean's gonna do a long stretch into this room and then hold back and try to grab the alarm clock on the fly. He then uses the head that's not holding the alarm clock to trigger a gravity well at the back wall, which snaps him straight to the snake, and GG. Easy.
Yeah, easy peasy. The timing for grabbing that alarm clock is very precise, but you get used to it with practice. Anyways, it's now time to go to the boss level without doing any of the other sleep levels. So the boss level is at those fish on the right, way back there. You might ask, how can I get there? Well, you might have also noticed there's some alarm clocks to the left, and alarm clocks just make things happen. So I'm gonna enter this level and leave just to reset my checkpoint in case I fail, because I want my checkpoint to be at the entrance to this level. And it has a whole lot of parts, and all of them are pretty tough.
Sean's gonna get himself on top of this snake first, and then setting up to get over to this pillar. And then it's ayayat.
Ayaya, ayaya.
Yeah. Chat, you're more than welcome to share your favorite ayaya emotes or your favorite dog emotes. What are your best dog emotes? I want to see your dogs. So Sean's setting up, and again, the alarm clocks having the amazing capsules that they do are perfect anchors for flangs, that we don't even have to release this one to do the flang, so we get to keep taking it with us.
Didn't quite make it up to that blue platform there, but I can get up here just from here pretty easily. But ideally from that first fling, I would get onto this platform.
The second to last, and then we'll be doing the setup for the final fling.
Yeah. This setup is kind of a miracle that it works. You just hold forwards until you can actually see what you're doing. The camera is just slightly different here. This skip would be abysmal.
Gonna do a free fling just to get a little bit more inertia on his noodle.
I don't like this. I don't like this. I don't like it.
Got the height, but not the distance, maybe?
I went backwards. There's no way, yeah.
Yeah.
That's rough.
We'll get to see that one again.
Yep. Sometimes that's just how FOGS works. It's worth noting that I am the only person who has ever done this skip.
Yeah, you're the only person that's done 3-level Nightmare, 0-level Nightmare. And still, I believe, the only person that's done Lost Temple solo, right?
Shoot. Bad angle. Normally, if I would just fail this in a run, I'd just reset, but obviously can't do that in a marathon. As much as I would love to reset, can't do that. One thing that's very hard and probably doesn't like visually translate to being as hard as it is landing back on the bed with the clock. That is a really, really hard test of your depth perception. Hold on, can I just do this? Heck yeah.
Are we science? Oh, we're science.
Alternate setup. On the fly routing.
Hey.
Oh dear, oh dear. Okay, no, we're good. So that corner there is extremely haunted. It is basically a soft lock if you get the clock stuck in there, because normally the clock would only respawn if it hits a death plane. And it's sort of like trapped in there. It's hard to explain exactly how, but basically if the clock gets into that corner, you're kind of doomed. Or what you would do is just enter a level and leave, but... Okay, I like this.
That looks good, yeah. And we should see, like, the death curtain, the eyelet pop up for a moment.
Really?
But then if he hit the trigger... Oh.
I thought that was clean. Okay. Well, it's a good...
It looked good.
Yeah. It's a good thing I set my estimate to 130. It was sort of like, okay, am I gonna do 125 or 130? Made the right call.
And the best part is you're still going to save time against doing the other 3 levels.
Yeah,
like, that's how big this skip is.
This skip does save 7 minutes, and if you do the full version, skips like... Oops. Ooh, fun little bug here, if I can get myself back up, is that if you grab a clock with both heads while it's on a bed and then let go, it will be locked into place for reasons. Okay, that was spooky. Okay, that was spooky.
It's fine.
All according to Keikaku. TL no Keikaku means plan.
Sean across the finish line.
Okay, this time for sure.
Oh, you got this.
No, I don't. And it's...
All right, one more.
Part of me wants to go back to my old strat on that, but I don't know.
Firm belief, you've got this. And yeah, like we said, Sean's the only person that's ever pulled off any variant of this trick. I don't think anybody's even really tried it in co-op, because co-op is great for a couple of things, but for some other parts of the game, it's so much better to have all of the coordination under one person's control.
Okay, how do I save this? How do I save this?
If you let go of the alarm, can it respawn?
Okay, only hope for this is... No. Alright, so what I'm gonna do, I do have a sort of... Oh, come on. Can't even get the uppy onto this. There we go. Oh god, get up there. Get up there, dude. This is all just a plan to make you guys hear more.
Yeah, that is the sad part, is after we get out of Sleep World, we will basically not get to hear another ayaya for the rest of the game. I'm firmly in a pro alarm clock camp, even regardless of how useful it is.
It really is great that, like, one of the funniest objects in the game is also one of the most useful.
Yeah, people hated the clock, and then Sean found out how useful it was, and like, you know, that clock's a pretty good friend.
But if this doesn't work soon, what I'm gonna do is load up the training mod and then just fly in the Nightmare, and we'll pretend I got the skip.
Nightmare's a pretty fun boss. We're going to get to see a few neat things. We're going to do our best to avoid content. We'll navigate through the content, but we won't be doing a ton of it.
This is it. This is it. This has got to be it. This has got to be it. That looks amazing.
Those are some happy PHOGS right there.
Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. Are you kidding? How?
Oh my god.
How close was I?
Oh no.
There's no way.
Game patched.
Game patched? PHOGS patched?
Game patched.
PHOGS patched? I can't believe that wasn't in. That felt so good.
It's a testament to how ridiculous this trick is. Like, I was theorizing different ways to do something in this area for a solid 2 months before Sean was able to get over to the clock and completely broke it in half. And even still, it's just one of the most ridiculous things you can do in the game.
Okay. Oh, don't end up down here. It's not much going on down here.
Taking the clock for a walk. This game is cat dog, but dog
dog. Alright. This is gonna be my last attempt before I just load up the training mod.
And yeah, physics games get a physics sometimes. Like we saw with the body clipping in on the bridge in Watcher Walkway. Sometimes the game just decides to do its own thing.
That's it. Easy. Easy.
That's it,
Free.
yeah.
Let's go. For every try. First try.
You go.
That is guaranteed. There we go. First try. Early Nightmare.
Never not perfect. Oh, chip.
Okay. The struggle's over. And play the game again. I'm so sorry for that, everyone. I hope you enjoyed all the IAS. Please take my word for that trick being very, very hard.
Yeah. If you were ever gonna have to do a trick more than once, I'm glad it was that one for my IAS.
If I make a good cycle on this level, we will have more IAS, but it's not likely.
Here comes the most cursed uppy, and Sean gets it first try. That uppy is so bad. I hate it.
Whoa, whoa, whoa,
we did
whoa. No, not first try. That was the worst fling I've ever seen off of that peg. Oh, no. Okay. Come on.
Do a quick reset, yeah.
Okay, buddy. Is this really how we're doing this? Is this really the PHOGS run I'm giving the people? There we go.
Shimmy out of the corner and back in. Oh, perfect. Cool. So one of the things that Sean did on the intro to this level was we skipped the introductory cutscene where we're supposed to go through some stained glass that explodes and introduces us. There's a giant shadowy monster in the background coming out of the dreams of the sun monarch of the world. We're supposed to be turning on lights. We're supposed to be warding off the nightmare monster. Sean likes nightmares, apparently.
Yeah, this is the pacifist room.
Sean's down for the nightmares. Cute little thing here of just wrapping around to get an easy checkpoint instead of dealing with any of the lighting effects. And some unintended platforming using a little bit of verticality that the hover gives us. Really fun long neck hover here. The camera is super awkward. You can grab the arm of that clock, but it is cursed and it will get you stuck in the wall like we saw earlier with that bridge. That is a spot where physics will almost always physics you.
Yeah, unfortunately I did not make the cycle that would let me do the alarm clock fling. You can use that alarm clock that was in the previous section there to fling to the end of the level, but you need a very specific cycle to do it. which I did not make because I messed up the Nightmare Uppy a bunch of times. Anyways, luckily the game won't let you not have the moon here. A nice anti-soft lock mechanism. So it'll just give it to you for free, so you don't have to bother grabbing it.
And shoutouts to Great Gilder Sneeze. We are going for fourth meal. Live Moss.
Anyways, that is the end of Sleep World. And yeah, this guy's completely fine. Normally he wouldn't be here because we damage him with the light switch, but we didn't do that, so he's fine.
One of the other nice things about the game as a speedrun is you can do the worlds in any order, and you can even go back and forth between worlds if you really wanted to get your super difficult skips out of the way first, even though you lose a little time on movement. But yeah, you can bounce between the worlds in the order that you prefer, and it looks like Sean is going to Play World next, which has a handful of banger skips of its own.
So we went from one of the hardest skips in the game to another one of the hardest skips in the game coming up very soon. The first half of Play World is, it's quite something. It's cool. It's also very hard, but it's very cool. We're gonna go to the first level, Breezy Beach here. The gimmick of Play World is playing mini games, and that gives you stars that open up the worms. We're gonna be playing very few of the mini games because they take time.
Sean's minigame is avoiding the minigames.
Yeah, PHOGS is all about skipping all the content. If there's content, you gotta find a way to skip it.
Need DLC so that we can not play it, but play around it. All right, so instead of doing a handful of things to get through a snake to go from one island to the next like normal, Sean just did a long neck hover off the initial snake. And here we are on the main island for the level, and you'll notice it's pretty barren because it's completely unloaded. Most of the time on most of the levels, the previous or oncoming islands won't load in until you've gone through a snake proper. Sometimes it's really useful, sometimes it's actually a problem. Here, Sean doesn't care because he's going to do some stretching that exploits the water physics, with the goal of getting both of the PHOGS heads under the snake into the transition trigger at the same time.
Yep, both are under, and now it's all about just fiddling around until you find the trigger. The trigger barely pokes out underneath on this worm. It's very different from other worms. And being able to get both heads into the trigger on the same frame is very much trial and error, so I just usually just stretch in, stretch out until the game's like, yeah, actually both heads are in. Which can take a very, as you can see, variable amount of time. Sometimes this will happen instantly, sometimes I'll be down here a couple minutes. It's rough. It's also worth noting I'm also the only person who's done this skip, I'm pretty sure. There we go!
Hey, there you go. And yeah, I love the world spawn, like instantly spawns in as soon as you're leaving the island. When it should be despawning, it's just toggling the flag.
Yeah, that saved like 5 minutes there. Very big skip. Does that skip playing 3 pretty long minigames? Actually, it skipped 4 minigames, I guess, because it skips the game on the first island too.
Yeah, that's true. And so now we're at the end of Breezy Beach, the final fun house, which is just a couple of pretty straightforward movement options here before getting to the end. So in the sleep world, Sean had to bring alarm clocks to wake up the sleepy snakes. In the play world here, he's going to be opening capsules to collect these stars from the minigames. And the food world will have its own gimmick that we'll get to see some of.
I just want to appreciate how good that funhouse movement was. There's a lot of things that can like catch you up there and like cause you to lose like a few seconds. That was really clean.
Yeah. That's another cool thing about the game is like, you look at it and it doesn't necessarily look like it's fancy movement for the most part, but it is precise to be schmoovin'. It's kind of like getting really good at Fall Guys or something along those lines. It's like, it's not designed to be high-level parkour, but Sean just makes it work.
So they're going to be moving on to very cool level, Putting Pirates. The Putting Pirates has 2 very long minigames. Hold on. I'm not confident I got in the checkpoint there. I tried to hover across to get into the checkpoint so I could respawn, but I'm not 100% confident I actually got in it. I think I did, but don't want to risk it. So I'll just walk around. But
it's close. And a lot of the checkpoints are full spheres and they'll stick out underneath platforms, which is makes it easier to go for those. as Sean was saying, there's two main mini games here in Putting Pirates. We're going to play some golf, and then in the second half, we're supposed to be a golf ball. Sean is going to complete approximately 0 holes of golf and never be a golf ball.
Yeah. So normally you get the ball in the hole here, and it's going to open up the whale's mouth and let you progress. Luckily, the trigger for letting you progress sticks out slightly right here, so you can just get on in. And now we're going to use the golf ball, actually, but not for its intended purposes. Golf ball is a very interesting object. I'm going to shoot it off and then buffer a grab by holding bark, and that's going to grab it on frame 1. And what that will do is grab it in an unloaded state where I'm able to move it around. Normally, you wouldn't be able to do this with a golf ball. Normally, it would be locked in place until you fire it, but because it's in an unloaded state, it will let you do this and also make some awful noises. But what I can do is jump off here, and then... can I get a chance to grab it? Okay, okay.
It's fine.
Calculated.
Sean stretches the head holding the ball while navigating with the trailing head, and as he snaps it back and releases, it gives him a perfect yeet onto the end island of the level, and he's just got to go trigger one cutscene over here to unlock the capsule. But that was a nice clean Pirates.
Yeah. We got a little bit spooked there. I don't think I was very far away from the death plane at the bottom there when I did the fling.
One of those times where it's nice to not have the trainer mod, because the trainer mod will put a big skull and crossbones on one of the fog heads when they're in the death plane, even if you don't have the death plane visualizer on. So that way he didn't have to know just how close it was.
Anyways, so yeah, this is the end of the level here, and I just went into the final cutscene that gives me the star, and that's Putting Pirates. Hope you enjoyed. And if you thought the big play skips were done, nope, not a chance. Because next up we got 5-Star Arcade, also known as 0-Star Arcade.
The reviews on Yelp are terrible now.
Just change management. It's just not the same atmosphere anymore.
There's always fog hair on everything.
A couple of dogs rolled up and just started screaming at everything.
Just stretching, taking up all of the space. Yeah, Play World is great. I think it's my favorite of the 3 worlds overall, and 5-Star, as well as one of the later levels, Stationary Village, have got to be 2 of my favorite levels, period.
Yeah.
So normally you're supposed to play 5 mini games to get through this level, 2 on this front lower portion, and then 3 upstairs. Sean, how many mini games are we going to complete?
I'm going to play 0, but I am going to use an object from the best mini game, which is the air hockey right here. The air hockey paddle is a very interesting object, and I'm going to pull it out of the air hockey table by, hopefully, there we go. And the cool thing about the air hockey paddle is that it is locked to height, which means I can just bring it over here, and then fling once to build up speed, and then fling one more time to get up to the end of the level.
Easy peasy.
And then go up to the final worm.
Another spot where the second island isn't spawned in since we skipped the snake, and Sean's gonna do some more stretching and snapping like we saw on Watch Your Walkways, was it?
Yeah. So it's worth noting, this only works on about like half the worms in the game. There's really no rhyme or reason to like which ones you can do this on and which ones you can't. I think I got it. No, I didn't. So yeah, it's sort of just, sometimes you can clip in from the top like this, and then sometimes you just can't because some worms are just built different. Okay, I think that was it. I thought I saw it. Yeah.
Looking for a visual cue where the middle of the noodle kind of dips in at a really unpleasant looking angle. Yeah, the vibes in the arcade levels are immaculate, and it's unfortunate that we don't get to spend more time in them, but they're just so much fun to skip.
It's worth noting that, honestly, if you did a speedrun where you wanted to play all those arcade games, it's kind of awful. The pinball game for speedrunning is, like, the worst.
Yeah.
Gonna move on.
Yeah, 5-Star is one of my favorite levels in the run, not necessarily for the actual content.
The content's fun casually, it's just like, if you want to play that pinball game for speed, it's a bad time. Anyways, we're on Cosmic Coaster now. No huge skips, but it's a pretty cool level nonetheless. There's some cool little micro stuff. Main gimmick are these rails. You just sort of hold the direction you want to go, but you can do some stuff with them later on. I'm gonna try and clip into this worm. It's pretty awkward because of the angle. It's hard to really describe what makes it different, but just being at a sideways angle instead of a forwards one, for whatever reason, makes it like 10 times harder for me.
I mean, you're doing basically it's a 1-player 2-controller run when you do this game solo. Everything's disorienting. That was a nice clip.
That was really fast.
Super clean. There's a backup clip there that we didn't get to see, but we will see other variations of it later on, and we'll talk about that when we get to it.
Yeah, it is worth noting, like, everything in this game that I'm doing has backup strats. There's not too much stuff that's like, if you want to put together a run, there's not too much stuff you have to do, so you can have a pretty chill, like, 2-hour run, and not have to put in, like, huge grind sweat hours to do it. And it's a cool little fling here. Normally you're supposed to move these blocks with the crane that's there to make a bridge, but I'm actually going to use this block to fling off of and just go right to the next section.
Nice.
And then there's this fling, which is just the worst. Worst fling in the game, probably. The problem is that if... Yeah, so there's the problem, is that if this... What do you call this? Crane, rail thing. If it gets slightly off of the platform, then you won't be able to let go. And then it'll be hard to get across, and then like you'll be locked on. You have to, the timing for when you let go during that fling is very, very precise. But then you can make it over to this platform here, and then clip into this worm. Yeah, you can see this worm takes 3 stars to open, but that's time and effort that I don't want to give to this guy. Just gonna force my way in. Whoa, 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 whoa.
Moment to focus. Close.
Okay, can we not? Can we like just... Wait, I was in! Ah, shoot.
Zipline works, yeah, zipline. Oh, that was in again.
Yeah. It can be really hard to, because like every time you fling like this, you're building up more and more force. And so it's gonna keep wanting to push you off the worm, and it's all a question of whether you get clipped in before it flings you off. Am I in? I'm in.
Nice. And even with a couple extra attempts on that snake, I think it's still going to be like 2 or 3 minutes time save versus intended strats. Yeah. Like the skips are just so big on each level.
That was a decent Cosmic Coaster, all things considered. And yeah, this is sort of the end of Cosmic Coaster as far as Cosmic Coaster having strats. There is some cycles coming up, but they're global cycles, so it's just all dependent on how fast you got through the level. But 2 out of 3 is the norm here. And I'd be surprised. Oh, what the heck was that?
Hold on, a 2.5.
Yeah, I'll take a 2.5. Is he an old? So, fun fact about this level: it's very unique compared to other levels because this final platform is completely loaded in from the start of the level. So theoretically, if you could get over here, you could just skip the entire level, but it's hard to really show how far away it is. It is very far away. I have gotten about 2/3 of the way there using a strat I found, but not all the way.
That's off of the big loop.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's so far, but it's so tantalizing. With the training mod, you can just zoom around and check everything out immediately, and there's not even any death planes you'd have to worry about unless you fell super low. What are we going on to? Is it Magic Box time?
It is Magic Box time. Can't do that fling anymore, but that's alright. Lost my muscle memory for it.
And that'll be good enough for that checkpoint, yeah. And that's a good example of how the checkpoints are full spheres and not just semi-spheres, and they tuck underneath the platform, so Sean can just sneak his head in there, easy peasy.
So this is the worst level in the game because it's the only level that's longer than 4 minutes and is therefore bad. My dream is to bring every level in this game below 4 minutes, and this is the like one thing that is making that not possible.
For now.
That's yeah, some hopeful thinking, but if you find a way, I'd be very impressed.
So Sean went into this doghouse and then immediately respawned. Going in the doghouse triggered a cutscene, and he's supposed to follow in the titular magic box there. We're just going to skip it, and we're going to find out the level doesn't actually take place in the magic box. We just take place slightly beneath it. I mentioned that he had a backup skip on Cosmic Coaster we didn't get to see, and we're going to now see another implementation of that sketch, which is being very small Foggo. We are officially fuppies, and the fuppies can sneak into places very easily during the right part of the snake's animation. So when the snake kind of shakes his head a little bit and sneers and opens his mouth a little on the right side.
I'm not in.
Oh, it rejected. Yeah, you bounced off. There's a weird one.
This has never happened before. Can I?
Yeah. Oh, is the front head stuck?
Oh, I'm out.
Oh, there we go. And back in time. There we go.
All right, that's my second never happened before. Game just keeps
Game's
on
like,
giving.
you want to do a showcase? I'm gonna do a showcase. But yeah, so we'll see, I think, at least one more opportunity where small Foggos get to sneak their ways in.
Yeah, and the small fogs also have very cute, high-pitched barks. There's also a big fog that you probably won't see in the run that has a very bow, bow, great.
See, if I can make my magic box skip work, we will have Big Dog in the run.
Heck yeah. Fog, yeah.
There was a period of maybe 2.5 months or so where there was a ton of activity on the Fog score. Like I said, we got into this run after Author Blues and the Great Gildersleeves picked it up. There's also Jonimus and their partner, and Steve TV, who runs the leaderboard, and the co-runner that he runs with, whose name I'm forgetting, I apologize. But there was a great amount of contributions to the community in a very short time period. A lot from Author Blues and Gildersleeves as they did 12-hour and started optimizing some things. But just day after day, there was so much stuff getting added to the Fog score, and a lot of it still has room to be optimized, particularly some of like the secondary tier tricks. Just because we kept pushing forward and forward with more absurd setups for bigger time saves. So we can have small Foggos again, and once again we are skipping capsules, we are skipping content, and we're just going to go hang out with
bro worm. Always love to see it. Perfect. You love to see when they do that cycle at the exact right time. That cycle is random. It's usually about every 5 seconds or so, but it's always great when they do it just at the exact right time. Really cheers you up to know that they're looking out for you.
A friend with a purple armed mustache there. We'll get to know them a little bit later.
Oh, see a cylinder?
We're getting into the real heavy puzzle section right now.
Yeah, the trick here is to just put everything into the square hole. Where is the cylinder?
It's in the square hole. Shoutouts to the very sad looking face that the shape board makes.
Happy now.
And now it's a happy face.
I'm not happy because this part of the game is forcing me to play the mini games. You might think it looks pretty easy to actually just skip around that section there, and you would be absolutely right. It is not very hard at all. The problem is that the worm at the end of this level is slightly smaller than regular worms, and because of that, none of the clipping methods work, though there's some... You've been messing with some stuff, Rare.
Yeah. Double big works, but getting up there as double big while also skipping content is a challenge right now. So you just saw Sean got to use a golf ball. You can do golf ball flings up to the end of the level from here, as you would on Putting Pirates a few levels ago. But the sequence of events to make that happen is rough. So that's probably going to save somewhere in the range of 30 seconds once we get that a little more solidified, but it takes time. But it would put Big Dog in the run, which would make me happy.
That RUFF rough?
No, I would never make a pun.
No?
I would not do that to you.
That's true. not been known to do that.
Now.
Yeah, as you can see here, the worm's very small. Or are we very big? No, it's just very small, and because of that, known to clip methods work. Can the level end? There we go.
That's the other thing with the small worm is it gets like your heads bounce against each other and they don't immediately get into the load zone trigger inside the snake. It was is a delight.
It really is.
That was the other fun thing was like the casual playthrough was so much fun. Partially because we were trying to break the game as we went. But
yeah, it's actually funny because the further, like me and Rare played it co-op casually, and the further we got in, the more comfortable we got with like speed tech. And by the time we got to the end of the game, we were just skipping everything. So I have no idea what like any of the puzzles in Food World actually are, because I just skipped all of them on my first playthrough and ever since. Here I'm going to land on the left side of what's called a glide zone. Glide zones speed you up in the direction you're traveling, and by landing sideways, I was able to get sideways momentum instead of forwards. So you take me over here and skip a few sections.
Stationary Village is another great level. There's an absurd IL strat that Sean has, but we're not going to be seeing that today. That is very not marathon safe.
I'd recommend if you're interested in it, looking up the Stationary Village IO speedrun. If you want to see the infamous Penguin Rodeo.
No extra context needed. Who wouldn't want to see the Penguin
Rodeo? Like, if there's a speedrun and there's a trick called a Penguin Rodeo, you want to see the Penguin Rodeo. It's the Penguin Rodeo.
So, Sean's looking a little blue now. We've introduced the mechanic of the gimmick for this level, which is freezing your fogs into a locked position until you can get to one of the flat pink goo puddles on the ground. Not to be confused with these big cubic, what would you call them? Slide zones? I don't know what the actual name for these are. They move you in directions.
Yeah.
That's the technical terminology.
I think it's just called like gravity field or force field or something.
Oh, force field, that might be the actual in-game, yeah. But yeah, Sean got into an unusual position which let us skip playing a mini game as well as lowering a bridge. And he kept that position until he wanted to switch into the small donut, which let him easily get through the zigzags. And we're done with the sign.
Yep, so that's the easy part of Stationary Village. It's now time for the hard part. But also the very cool part. There's a lot of really cool stuff happening one after the other here.
Fogsicle, yes. Or chili dog. I go by chili dogs for these.
Oops, whoa, what am I doing? Okay, what is my strat here? I seem to have forgotten. Okay, I figured it out. I don't know if this is gonna work, but try my best.
You'll see off to the right, there was like a arrow pad, and that's supposed to rotate you 90 degrees.
That was the freest uppy I've ever had. Normally that's pretty close, but the game just decided to give it to me because it pities me.
So thanks to the weird position that Sean froze the fogs in, he's able to do some CSGO surfing across those crayons just to skip one tiny little section. And up next is, I think, my favorite thing that I got to add to the run.
Yeah, so we're going to be doing something that's in a lot of speed games. You may or may not have assumed it would be in this game. We're going to be doing a proxy. So what I'm going to do is freeze myself in a sort of dangling L shape like this. And then this platform here is going to be moving me 90 degrees every time. And you might wonder, what's going to happen here? Oh, there we go. Oh, and it's a good one, too. Which means
that even if this doesn't go perfectly, you still get a tiny little bit of time save. But yeah, Sean's making the long distance run.
Yeah. So I just skipped like two sections doing that and got all the way over here, which is basically the end of the level.
See if we get a slam dunk, I believe.
No, that was the worst. I'm so sorry. It is possible to fling off that final elevator and have it so that you land directly in the worm's mouth. Also, here are the penguins you would rodeo off of if you're doing the IO route.
That's so... The penguin rodeo is one of the most cursed-looking things in the game. It's great.
Speaking of cursed things, it's time for Frederick.
Physics happen a lot. Hopefully only when we mean them to, but physics are going to happen whenever they feel like happening. And yeah, we're going into the final boss for Play World. Frederick Von Fun. Freddy to his friends, but Freddy has no friends. So we're just going to call him Frederick.
The way Frederick works is that it has 4 minigames. 3 of them are selected in a random order, and then you play a 4th final game. It is possible to skip all 3 of the first minigames, by entering the wheel that selects the minigame you're going to play at random multiple times very, very quickly. Unfortunately, there's a one-way wall trying to stop you from doing that. So you have to find the one tiny corner where the trigger pokes out, but also you don't go far enough in that you get sucked into the one-way wall. It's very hard. I'm likely to get either a 1 or 2 minigame skip. If I skip 3 minigames here, I will be just the happiest fog in the world. I don't like that I'm on this ladder. There we go. Let me off. Okay. That's a double. It's a double shapes. Oh, come on. Hate to see it. So shapes. So of the 3 beginning mini games, 2 of them are 1 minute long, and 1 of them is 2.5 minutes long. You probably judge from my reaction which one I just got. It is the 2.5 minute one.
One of the nice things about this minigame is you don't have to get this, like, it doesn't speed up by getting both stars on a given cycle. So you can just pick 1 star, not worry about the contortions, and it's a cozy 2.5 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, this used to be very, very hard for speedruns until we realized that the game only cares if you get 1 star. You don't have to get both. It'll give you just as many points. So literally just line yourself up in a straight line and get 1 star and you're good. Not very exciting, and it is very long, but we still saved 2 minutes doing that skip because we skipped the other 2 mini games.
Forgot to tell you before the run, Sean, I actually found out something similar in Food World earlier today. I did not know you could progress if you lost the eating minigame. You do not have to win it. Like, they open the orange slice anyway, you just don't get a bone, I believe.
That's interesting.
Yeah. I like AFK'd on accident. I was like, oh, okay, free.
Is
Thanks.
one of the cutscenes longer than the other?
I didn't time that, actually. I'll make a note about that. That's a good point. As we continue to science.
Wouldn't it be funny if losing the minigame ended up being faster than Munchlet Market Skip?
I mean, Munchlet Market Skip saves like 3 seconds over playing the minigame, so that's definitely possible.
It's entirely possible. It will break my heart.
Oh, that's great.
It'll break my heart if actually doing the content ends up being faster.
But if you lose by not playing, you're not doing any content. The content just happens to happen around you.
That's true.
But yeah, a lot of the testing and skip finding has been kind of organic in that same sense of being like, oh, that doesn't work how I expected. We can probably break it in half or in thirds or in tenths.
Anyways, this is going to be the final platform for the shapes minigame, and then we're going to move on to the final minigame, which is going to involve about as much effort from me.
Look, tennis is the best minigame.
It really is. Honestly, I love tennis now that like it's completely busted. I hated tennis before when there was just so many things that can go wrong, but now it's just great. So, gonna have to play tennis with Frederick, and the fastest way to do that is just hit the ball, respawn, hit the ball, respawn, hit the ball, respawn. You only get points when you hit the ball, and this is the fastest way to hit the ball. So, there's nothing that could really go wrong here. Just keep hitting that ball.
Yeah, absolute highest tier of execution.
Yeah, this used to be like before we realized you could do this, there's used to be so much that could go wrong in the tennis. Like the ball could just get stuck for like 20 seconds, but you can just do this.
And we're wiping the floor with Freddy, which is great. Frederick, sorry, he's not my friend.
Absolute chump, really.
Frederick got 10 times bigger to try to defend his side of the court, and we're still just bodying him. So clearly we've won the entire tournament and we've won the trophy.
Yeah.
Okay, Frederick. Okay. This is why he's Frederick No Fun.
They're just gonna grab his wand and teach him a lesson about humility or something. Because clearly we outplayed him there. Like, we played fair and square. And he's acting like a sore loser, so gotta teach him some lessons. Really poor sportsmanship from him.
And in completing each of these worlds, we're regaining relics that we're returning to the home hub. So you'll notice there's a little ball to play with in the middle of the wand. From the sleep world, we got back our... What did we get back from the sleep world?
The dog bed.
The dog bed, that's right.
Or the fog bed, I guess.
And we are now on to the third of 3 worlds in the game, not excluding a couple of other levels. Food world, possibly the most important part of a PHOGS day.
The most important part of my day, I think. I don't know, sleep's up there too.
Yeah, sleep's pretty high tier.
Like people talk, it's like, oh yeah, it's the 3 things most important to a dog. I feel like it's the 3 things most important to anyone, really.
We're all basically PHOGS.
That's true.
You're just PHOGS that have to deal with things like taxes.
Yeah. Where's the tax world DLC?
Oh no. So, my DLC would be just a second sleep world. Just more sleep, please. All right, so immediately we're into food world, and we're starting to see one of the gimmicks here are these jumpkins. Jump and pumpkin combined.
Yeah, they jumped in you.
And that's not my pun. Yeah. I don't have to feel bad about that pun, because it's not my fault.
Okay, I'll make you feel bad about a pun very soon.
I don't know what you're talking about. This whole world is a recipe for disaster.
Nice. Nice job fitting that one in. I know you were workshopping that one.
Look, I cut like 10 of the worst ones.
Put that one in the oven for a little while.
Oh, yes. How many puns is it going to take to throw Sean off of his game?
The main gimmick of Food World is you bring food to the worms and then they open up. They're going to start off very lenient. You just bring them fruits. Later on, they're going to get much more picky and making some very, very specific requests and not even tip.
They're probably European. They're probably European snakes.
I guess this is a UK game, right? I think that's right.
I believe so.
I guess that makes sense. Unless they tip in the UK and I don't know.
Chat hopefully has that answer, because I do not. This run is not toast. No.
Yeah, Sunderland, UK.
Perfect, thank you. That's a Bitloom, yeah. So Sean's doing some unintended climbing up this fruit as we get distracted thinking about tips, just to activate this water.
I'm struggling to do it. Oh, dang.
Oh, because you're doing the quick release, yeah. So Sean, if you time it just right, you can release while also getting the lever to the right spot to trigger this cutscene. You'll see in a couple of levels we're going to have to turn on water or use water to grow jumpkins or to grow the fruit that we're actually going to feed to the snakes.
Since I'm up here, this is going to be the fastest way to get across. One thing you have to be very careful of with jumpkins is when they're growing in water, it is possible to get stuck in them, and that will ruin your day. Just a bad time.
Give them space until they're full grown. This particular island is not the most dense with tech. There is a nice cutscene skip here, and a good portion of the island is normally the cutscene that we're skipping. It's like a 17-second cutscene for a 30-second island.
Yeah, for whatever reason, this side, the room that's coming up needs like a really long, slow camera pan. Even though you can see the entire room from this angle here. Not sure what's up with that, but I'm just gonna get on this corn here to skip it. Big corn strats.
Amazing. Another good usage of the uppies here, just to get up this really quickly. Normally, yeah, we're supposed to move that Walker Melon down there on the lower level and get things into place, but that sounds like content.
Yeah, I don't want to do content. Every time I have to do content, it breaks my heart. Knowing that I could just be skipping this content, but here I am doing content.
So, you clip into the worms. I guess they're dinosaurs here sometimes. Does that not work on this level?
Food worms are built different, and as far as I know, you can't do that clipping strat on any of the food worms.
There's a different, the underside clipping strat works in a couple of places, although we might not see that today. It's much harder in Food World compared to other worlds, and a lot of times the camera is really unfriendly for making that viable in a run.
I'll be doing it once later on. There's another example I could do it in the final level of food for the infamous pizza skip, but that's not being done. Guaranteed.
Yeah, I was just wondering if it was a, you know, it's faster to just get the food to open the worm, or it's just not doable.
Nah, food worms are just built different. Can't explain why. As far as I know, we've never been able to see like any difference in their collision boxes or anything. It's just magic. Just PHOGS things.
It's just be that way.
Yeah.
Yeah. More uppies to skip more of the small, simple puzzle sections. We are now in Munchlet Market, correct?
Yep. So the main gimmick of Munchlets, Munchlet Market is Munchlets. They munchlet. As you can see, they're munchleting on that jumpkin there. Munchlets are absolutely, without a doubt, the single worst object in the game. You can't do anything fun with them, and anytime they're on screen, they have a significant chance to just ruin your day. There's a lot of RNG with their movement that can just make some things a lot harder.
This is maybe my least favorite level in the run, although that's changing.
So for example, I want to jump off to the right here, and I can accidentally grab yeah, see? So this guy gets in the way out of randomness and prevents me from hopping over that fence. And that's why Munchlets are the worst. They just love to do stuff like that. Any chance they get. Love to cause mayhem.
All right, we're coming up on the mini, or the eating mini game, where you just compete against other members of the world to eat as much as you can. Sean hates that mini game. Sean hates food. So Sean is found a way to get around that giant orange slice in the back on the right. There's a huge invisible wall that we can't see.
I will say, if I do this first try, it will save about 5 seconds, and I already did not do it first try. Actually, this is really bad. Oh, man.
Nah, this is fine.
This is, like, absolutely not worth doing, even, like, at the highest level of runs. I just like to do it because I like skipping content. It's about sending a message. If you're gonna speedrun this game, don't bother doing this. Unless for some reason you end up only having like 5 seconds left to save on your sum of best or something somehow.
Yeah, I don't mess with this one. There is I gotta test that other version where you climb over the minigame tent, but that one's super cursed.
Anyways, yeah.
Falling down here.
Top over that invisible wall.
This section's not loaded, but not entirely loaded, but Sean's gonna be able to do an uppie here to catch a checkpoint that is loaded in, and we can still get our fruit to trigger the next steak.
Put down this asparagus or rhubarb or celery or whatever it's supposed to be. I don't know vegetables, I'm a gamer.
Yeah, place your bets on whatever that one is.
It looks like celery.
The pink top feels rhubarby, but the shape is very celery, right?
Hit me up when there's a chicken tendies lull.
Oh, that's the DLC we need.
As far as I know, this food world is vegetarian. I don't think there's any appearance of any meat. There is definitely dairy products later on. Anyways, strat here is to get pet by this guy while you're doing the uppie. It's important to get pet by him, or else it's just bad for your soul if you don't. Calculated.
Well, that's an interesting way to do it. That's
all according to plan.
So instead of consuming, as we've been doing a lot of throughout the game, and nom-nomming, we're actually gonna plant a tree here, and Sean's gonna try to buffer a grab, and if he's lucky or in the right spot,
that's happened. Where I felt like I've been in the right spot and just didn't give me the grab.
Dang. So the buffered grab during the cutscene can catch that seed if the game decides to let you.
Yeah.
Instead of riding this to the top and hitting the jump in.
Actually, I don't like the angle I'm on, so I'm just going to ride it to the top.
There. Another spot where there's a fairly large checkpoint, but yeah, if you're not... If physics are already not going your way when you're on that tree, it's not worth risking.
Yeah, it's supposed to get the munchlets into the fence here, but you can just kite them like this.
Munchlets are not the smartest friends in the universe.
Yeah. Get your like Diablo kiting skills to pay off there.
And that's the end of my least favorite level of the game. Never have to see it again.
And now we're gonna be moving on from vegetables to dessert. Is something I can get behind.
The important part of the world. Sunday Springs, right?
Right here, we're gonna be passing by some weird fruit-shaped dog thing. I don't know what's up with that. Do you know what's up with that?
Yeah, that's an acorn that also happens to be a dog, that are known as a corn dog.
That just doesn't seem right.
I mean, you call them fruit, but that's an acorn, and that acorn happens to also be a dog.
I felt the pun coming, and I was like, all right, what's it gonna be?
It's a pun, but it's also me taking a stance. It's the one thing I do not allow Sean to have decision on in PHOGS lore, despite his position as world record holder. They are corn dogs.
And it's just gonna be climbing up this strawberry here. There's gonna be an invisible ledge on this wall that's like a dev door or something. I don't know what's up with it, but it's really nice that it's there. You can just ride along it. Anyways, coming up, we're gonna get some more Munchlet RNG, but at the very least, this RNG is whether or not the Munchlets will be good or not, instead of whether they'll be bad. So it's slightly better, but still another instance where Munchlets can be a pain if they feel like it.
Optimistically bad instead of pessimistic.
Yeah. Usually they're bad, so you're used to it being bad, and yeah, they're bad. Who would have thought?
If you're lucky, these PHOGS will have turned that lever in the back and turned on the chocolate river, and if you're super lucky, they will also have all jumped into the chocolate river and gotten themselves stuck there, which is what Sean's gonna have to do with them now. Just so that they don't eat the peppermint jumpkin that we're about to grow.
Honestly, they work pretty good, just willingly going into the river like that, so I'll give them a pass. Not ideal, but I'll take it. I've seen worse. I've seen them where they're like trying to juke me like around the lever. Yeah,
that was in your current leaderboard run. This corner used to be really annoying. You'd want to like basically pull a jumpkin over that, or the Munchlet over that ramp with you, but Jonimus, shoutouts to Jonimus and their partner, we're finding out there's no collision above that marshmallow, and we can just easy peasy. And yeah, this game will make you way too hungry.
Yeah, unfortunately also like I do food at the end of like a hour-and-a-half run.
Yeah. Just more motivation to finish faster. It's speedrun psychology. Second half of this level, fairly standard movement. There might be an extra tick Sean squeezes in. Oh, he's doing a checkpoint grab there for respawn, which is good. I don't know if you're doing anything in this spot that's funky or not, but we'll do one extra climb towards the end to skip a couple of puzzles.
Yeah. Gotta get this Munchlet.
Here's just grabbing the Munchlet
to marshmallow.
Really well-behaved Munchlet. The Munchlets on this particular platform for this marshmallow can be really temperamental about what they want to eat. They might decide they're just going to stick to the chocolate and what else.
Are you saying that the Munchlets can be random and unpredictable and sometimes really mean to you? That doesn't seem right.
Munchlets are less fair than gotcha gameplays.
When's the PHOGS gotcha?
I would put money into it. I would be the PHOGS gotcha.
Got a 5-star alarm clock. I'm grabbing this one, I guess.
Yeah. So threw an extra acorn down there. Acorn fruit, could be both apparently. Just to make sure that he had one that was accessible, because it's right at the edge of your range for the one that he pulled out of the geyser. And that is the end of Sunday Springs. And now we're moving on to Hot Fudge Falls, and this is a level I'm sure we will get to see every single bit of content.
Yeah, so Food World's kind of like an inverse Play World, where Play World has a super fast first half and then a pretty slow second. Food World has a pretty slow first half and then a pretty fast second. So that's going to be the start of this now. This level is going to be quite quick.
The second half of Food World is another really fun one to look at ILs of or Sean's world record of, because it's got even more absurd strats.
Yeah, it kind of ruined running this game for me by doing a strat called Pizza Skip, which saves like 2.5 minutes or something, and I got it in my world record first try. So now, like, I have to do it if I want to run the game and get PBs, and it's just the worst. You won't be seeing that.
To be fair, you chose to skip pizza. You chose to ruin things.
True. Should have never dared skip pizza.
This means you get to do 100 now. That elevator, Sean wasn't super aggressive or anything, but that elevator can be an absolute bully. That is an easy elevator to get the middle of your noodle stuck inside of, and it's a fun respawn time. You just have to be a little bit cautious going through that. We're heading up to the upper half of the level where there's an octopus that we need to run some errands for, if I remember correctly.
Something like that. I don't know. I've never seen him. I don't believe he's real.
It just so happens that this elevator up to the final area with all of the quests that we need to do happens to be next to where the waterfall river of chocolate is going to get filled in. And thankfully for us, the physics for that river are already there, even though the chocolate is not. So Sean's just going to vibe down this invisible river of chocolate for a moment. And even better, we don't even have to go all the way down the river.
Yeah.
Take a sweet little shortcut over to this berry house?
Kind of
berry house.
beach house condo thing.
Gigantic respawn point there at the bottom of the level, which is super useful. And it's about 90 seconds of Hot Fudge Falls, which is a 6-minute level. And that's one of the biggest IL skips, I think, as well as being one of the easier ones. You can actually go up to the top of the elevator and then jump off to the side as you're learning it, which only costs a few extra seconds. But it's a great example of, like, things that happened before we even got into the game.
Mm-hmm. It's actually, the section we skipped in Hot Fudge Falls there is actually really interesting. It's one of the most fun casual sections of the game, but it's content and it's skippable, so you gotta skip it. Speaking of skips, ready for Fruity Factory? Because it's got precisely 2 skips. They're both the exact same skip.
Oh, are we doing it?
Oh, I'm doing this, yeah. I can't not do this. I don't even remember how Fruity Factory works. It's been so long since I haven't done this.
I was thinking about Jelly Junction. I was thinking about the other skip. All right, so what Sean's doing here is lining up this juicer, which we're supposed to do a great road, like minecart ride, Donkey Kong Country style around to get to the first real part of the level. But instead, we're just going to do big flingies.
That's not making it.
We're going to do big flingies again.
We're probably going to be doing big flingies a lot, so prep yourself for me retrying this over and over. Keep in mind, this is skipping the entire level, so even if it takes me like 10 tries, it's still going to be faster, but that looks good. That's going to be close.
Yeah. And so this is the last island of the level, and it's almost entirely unloaded in. Oh, you love to see it.
All right, and it's now time for one of the most anxiety-inducing things in the game. So the final worm is up here, and the only method I have to get into it is clipping into the trigger from below and then respawning. And the closest checkpoint, well, you'll see where the closest checkpoint is when I respawn. And then you'll see exactly why this is just the worst. It's a cool skip, but like, yeah, here's the closest checkpoint, by the way. So get ready for me to do this again. You better hope I was in that trigger, because if I wasn't, I'm doing this a 3rd time.
1 fling for each foghead.
I like that.
Yeah, it's got good height.
It's gonna be close again. I don't think it's making it, no.
Unfortunately, by doing the big skip on this level, we skip one of the interesting checkpoints. So most of the checkpoints in the game that Mag found when he made the trainer mod have pretty generic checkpoint names. There's one on this level called Sen's Fortress, which it's really cool that From Software put a reference to PHOGS in Dark Souls. But we don't get to see Sen's Fortress today. That is...
Let's go!
As close as you can get to doing it while still actually getting there.
Let's go. Okay.
Yeah, so rip Sen's Fortress.
It's time to find out if I was in the trigger. Either the level's gonna end right here, or it's not. I'll be extremely upset. Okay, my heart's beating. Come on, get in there. Can I, like, actually get in? Yes!
Nice.
Easy
every time. So yeah, that saved, like, 3 minutes or something.
Yeah. The skips are brutal, but they're absolutely worth it once you get the fundamentals of the game down. Things that Sean's doing tonight are not worth trying on a casual play or even on your first handful of runs. Like, get comfortable with the physics, get comfortable when the physics decides to make you uncomfortable, and then worry about Sean stuff.
Yeah, now we're on the Jelly Junction, which does have the infamous pizza skip, which I will not be doing. Pizza skip is basically the same skip I just did, where you have to clip into the trigger from below and respawn and then get into it again. The problem is that it has the worst possible camera angle where you can't see what you're doing at all. So the only judge you have is just setups and muscle memory. So it is really, really hard. And you can get yourself, if you just forgot your muscle memory, you can get yourself in a situation where you lose like 10, 15 minutes on it. So it's not marathon safe at all.
It's super cool when it works. But that work is a sub 50% success rate, I think. Well, maybe not for Sean at this point.
Oh, no, it's sub 50% for me. Absolutely.
Have you ever used the emotes on that? And we haven't talked about the emotes yet. So the characters are controlled by the joysticks. But yeah, if you press the directional pad...
That's a good point. You could use the emotes. I'd have to come up with new setups, but that might be something to look into. That's a good idea.
Yeah. The emotes show even if you're behind walls and things like that. It's something that I use on the boss for this world, and that I think Off and Gilder use as well, or used to use as they were still
getting
their setup going. Yeah. So it's a great way to help with some of the invisible setups.
All right, am I making this cycle? Yep, nice.
Plus, the emotes are just cute. And yeah, that's a really long delay before the next jelly mold if he doesn't make that cycle. It's just a really weird quirk in the cycles for that particular platform or conveyor belt.
Yeah, for whatever reason, it only spits out like 5 molds in a row and then delays for probably like 5-6 seconds. But if you make that cycle, you don't have to wait. So
that is right. It's pizza skip.
Yeah, it's now time for pizza.
It's possible for there to be pineapple as one of the toppings we might see. Instead of debating it, let's just let the game decide whether pineapple belongs on pizza.
Oh, we got an orange! This is some good sauce.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of cool, like, RNG stuff that can happen with making this pizza, like getting oranges in the sauce and stuff. Almost got a second orange.
I think, are you the one that said that it's probably the case that cheese is always there?
I've never not seen cheese on the pizza.
All right, so I'm praying for triple orange then. Bone app the feet.
My favorite pizza combination you can get is cheese, pineapple, strawberry. I think that's great. I think that just sounds delightful.
Look at all that dough and water that just went into the bowl.
That's enough for a huge, extra large pizza. Look at it rise. That's definitely how much flour we put in.
Yeah. Great British Bake Off, but PHOGS. And so what Sean just did with the tomatoes and oranges, as well as the dough, is completely optional at this point with the skip from Heck.
Yeah. I'll show you the worm at the end, and you can see why. Like once you see the camera angle that you have to do the worm clip with, you can see why it's just the worst. Roll out the dough, and now we're gonna make this pizza completely irredeemable, unless you're a big fan of dog hair on your pizza, in which case we're gonna make this pizza great.
Not dog hair, it's fog hair.
Sure.
Who doesn't want some fog hair on the pizza?
Let's sauce it up.
You know, I was wondering earlier why the dogs turned red. I guess now I know.
Oh yeah, earlier on this level, the last level, yeah, they got lost in the sauce for the moment. We also can turn them into donuts, but we have a skip for that. That was one of the things that it's a small skip that we didn't even mention, but you're supposed to make yourself into a strawberry donut.
All right, toppings time.
To fool the conveyor belt.
Cheese.
Triple orange and...
cheese. Tomato. That's very plain. That is actually something I could see someone theoretically ordering, and that's very boring.
True neutral pizza. I wanted my chaotic neutral pizza with triple orange.
Anyways, that's a delightful looking pizza pie, and the worm is very, very happy. So this is the camera angle you would have to clip into the worm from below with. As you can see, you can't see the bottom of the worm at all. Not good.
Yeah. It's impressive when it happens, but that's a big if. And that pizza that Sean just made is actually getting put to real use, and it's the same pizza if you look at the texture even. It is our vehicle to get to the boss.
Yeah. We actually don't have to ride into it. I can just do that and touch the pizza. That'll get the process started. It's a load level after time trigger, so now you just wait a few seconds and then it'll go, okay, here you go.
It's not none pizza with left beef, that's true.
All right.
I also like at the very beginning of the game, it warns you like, Phogs can eat things that real dogs can't eat. Please don't feed your dog chocolate, because the Phogs eat chocolate.
So here we got Tony. First name Glut, last name Tony, if you can get what they're going for there.
Tony's unfortunately got a munchlet in his belly causing some troubles. So we're going to try to be nice to him, and hopefully he's nice to us.
Wait, one more.
See if he's a glut. Normally you climb all the way above his head, you feed him things on the way. Sean is just going to give him a tracheotomy. Jump straight into his belly via his throat and his chest and grab the munchlet. And that's 55 seconds instead of 5 minutes.
Yeah, you can see all the platforming in this cutscene that you would have to do normally, so it's much, much faster to just jump right into his belly.
He was a glut homie, not a glut phony.
Alright, now there's a pretty cool potential cutscene skip coming up that doesn't save much time, but it always makes me happy when I get it. Let's see. No.
Oh, so close. It's like your pet trick. It's always good to have one of those.
Yeah. So yeah, if you can jump all the way on top of this section here, then you could actually fall right into the level during the cutscene and skip just the end part of this cutscene. It's cool. It's not huge, but it's cool.
So we're going into the last level, which, Sean, is it fair to say that this level is actually like cut in half?
Yeah, maybe like cut into a third.
Yeah. Well, I mean like part 1 and part 2 as well, not just the segments here. But so normally there's supposed to be a couple of branching paths off of a hub coming up. We're going to do some basic movement on our way there and one neat little checkpoint grab. And then Sean's going to show off one of the coolest tricks in the game and one of the hardest tricks in the game. It's not on the level of the nightmare skip we saw back in Sleep World, but this is one that has only been done by 2 co-op teams, and Sean's the only person that's done it solo.
Sorry, were you trying to do a joke with the cut in half thing and I just missed it?
I don't know what you're talking about. I don't do puns based on the game. That would be content.
Right.
All right, so there's a very generous checkpoint here that means we can avoid dealing with the birds and the crystals.
Yeah.
Sean just eats himself.
It's like the biggest checkpoint in the game. It's great.
And they're in the middle. We're supposed to put the Phogs into specific shapes. Some of those shapes are semi-impossible for us right now, and we're supposed to go do some other things, but...
You can climb right up this wall, and then you can just keep going further. You can jump down there and do a little skip, but that's... I'm not here to do little skips. I'm here to do big skips. So I'm going to keep going. Keep climbing.
Very specific spot on this wall, and get some long neck stretching going to rest his head on the...
I went like really far there, and it kind of spooked me. But there we go.
Yeah, that's why I got silent. So that's
all works
so
out.
much harder than Sean just made it look. That's 7 minutes? Something like that?
Yeah, it's like 7 minutes.
If you did like casual strats?
Basically just skip the entire level there. That's a very hard strat. It's also like the first big skip I found in this game, so I have a very strong personal attachment to it. I'm a big fan of it.
That's an actual Phog
Anyways,
chip,
everything's fine right now. Don't worry about it. Nothing's different. It's all okay.
Cover your ears, Sean. So I'll talk about lore for a moment.
Go ahead.
So the Phogs, after we've collected our 3 sacred items and returned them to the hub, we're able to access the Lost Temple, and we've now performed a ritual, and I guess we're testing ourselves as individuals. This is definitely the most unique section of the game. It's the first time that you have kind of free-form movement, particularly if you've been playing co-op. You're still technically tethered, and you'll notice if the 2 halves of the Phog get far enough apart, you'll see like a white circle on each of their tails, showing that they're still kind of tensile to one another. But we're just going to do a handful of nifty little movement things, and we're heading into one of the last real annoying rooms of the game.
Whoa, 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 what am I doing?
Oh. In one more moment.
Never happened. Blank the past 15 seconds from your memory.
We'll edit it out in post.
Thanks, appreciate it.
Perfect.
Really helps me out.
Chat, press F5 to show your support. You saw nothing. All right, so I hate this room. This room is one of the most frustrating things in the game for me when I do solo runs, and of course it's the very last real challenge
feel
that
like
you could have.
everyone hates this room.
Except
No,
you.
I definitely hate this room. Just because I'm slightly better at it than other people doesn't mean I don't hate it.
Totally fair, totally fair. So what has to happen here is an illegally big uppie, while also still having some water in your tummy from the head on the lower level.
Gotta fill myself back up. There
You're
we go,
supposed to
got
do
it.
a convoluted thing, nice, where you get the ball to the far right, it brings up a platform, it does things with the munchlets, but all of that gets completely skipped. But that uppie is one of the hardest uppies in the game. Like we talked on the Nightmare boss, where there was the giant uppie on the moving block. That one's even harder, and I don't like it, and I lose time there every time.
Anyways, if you like the music in this game, because you should, it's great, you're gonna be very disappointed for the next couple minutes. I'm just gonna give you a heads up for that.
Yeah, this is my least favorite thing I found.
So normally you're supposed to grab the rings here and get reconnected, but you can just go into the checkpoint here and get reconnected for free. The problem with that is that it skips a cutscene, which skips a music trigger that's supposed to play some happy, upbeat music because you're reconnected and kind of like Super Saiyan right now. But you're just gonna get silence for the next minute and a half.
We are Ascended Fogs. Blue head now shoots out water, red head is now a flashlight, and we'll get to see some minor usages of those.
Yeah, and now,
A cool opportunity for a fling
now we're gonna
here.
see like the mother of all flings.
Get the upper floor.
If I did, it would forgive myself for failing Early Nightmare like 20 times. That was dang good. That was dang good.
So some stretchy tricks on that.
No!
Oh, it almost got the flower skip. All right, so yeah, the giant fling was skipped probably 20 seconds of basic movement and walking. If he'd gotten to the upper floor, there would have been another 15 to 20 seconds saved. And then he almost got the backup skip of spawning this flower and then being able to stay on it. But this flower is such a bully,
Anyways,
it does not want to be stood
This
on.
hole is made for me, and then you can just skip right through.
Amagara skip, the checkpoint on the other side, just happens to bleed through the back wall, so you can just press your face against it and respawn.
Yeah, that is more or less the end of the game. There's still about a minute, 45 seconds left. Timing's going to end when the credits appear on screen, but there really isn't much more in the way of tech. Just got to go into the light here.
We get to end the run with like a minute of pure vibes.
Yeah.
So that's really like completely on brand for Fogs.
We're going to come back to the main hub here, and then we're going to awaken our friends here.
And if anybody from the studio is watching, please, I will pay for like Corgi Fog DLC skins. I never want to buy DLC. I will buy my Corgi DLC skins.
Look at these dudes.
They're all good boys. The goodest. Also, there's a bunch of hat cosmetics. We never talked about that because we never picked up a Boingle. There's a bunch of collectibles that play into the 100% run. And you routed a good hundo run would probably take, what, 3 hours or 2.5 hours, Sean?
Something like that, yeah. I just realized I forgot to do this sweaty strat I came up with like a few days ago.
Oh, yeah.
Dang.
So, extra.
Yeah, hold on, I gotta do my... No, I messed up my trick shot.
Aw. New tech to yeet yourself from one platform to the next instead of having to go back to the center.
You can jump from the sweet platform to the play platform, and it's very sweaty for saving like 2 seconds.
All of the bosses come back. It turns out they're not bad folks.
Yeah.
And about to be
Time.
time.
Yes, I hope you all enjoyed the... Are there supposed to be 2 alarms here? Isn't it supposed to only be 1?
Oh, I'm not sure. I'm actually gonna have to check.
Nonetheless, I hope you all enjoyed the run, and thank you for the marathon, One-and-Done-athon, for letting me showcase this wonderful game. If you want to learn it, I do have a video guide. You can find it on YouTube or on speedrun.com, or you can join the Discord and just ask questions. I'll be happy to answer. It's a delightful game casually. It's a delightful speed game.
Yeah. It's, you know, part of this is getting to showcase games that people wouldn't normally see, and that, you know, real passion projects of people. And I'm really glad that you came on to show this off.
Sean has put so much work into this game. Like, I'm in second place for solo co-op, and I'm almost an hour behind you now, I think. Yeah.
Awesome.
Go give Sean all of the love. Sean is a good boy, just like the Fox. And Sean, thank you for letting me come on and commentate with
Thank you for commentating. Really helped me out.
The train is going by yet again at the exact time that it switches to my camera. So sometimes you feel like that. But Sean, thank you. And in One-and-Done-athon tradition, goodbye forever. Until the next time. And well, not until the next time. You can't run again. What am I saying? Never mind. I've been at the studio for 10 hours now at this point. I feel great.
Fair enough.
Thank you for the run. Coming up next, we have Dead Rising Time Skip by Deebs. Again, sick run. I'm really looking forward to it. I like the Dead Rising series as a whole, and I'm really glad that they invented a mod that lets you skip all the waiting around and just get to the game and just do the things. So we're going to get that set up. We'll be right back after a break.